Hey everyone. I hope everybody is having a beautiful day. Let me get these headphones together. Yes, I miss y'all. I hope y'all are having a good day. Today we are going to discuss some basic math. I know it's been a while, so we're going to just jump right into it. Going to learn about Roman numerals. You're going to learn about fractions, and you're also going to learn about time conversion. Okay. I was very intentional when I made this, and I had you in mind because I've been reading your messages and getting all of your emails about what's important to you and what you want to know to pass the board exam. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you do so now. So that way we can keep you up to date with all of the new things that are happening and all the ways that we are bringing new content to you, okay? Let me get this together, child, because I can't be playing with the screen. All right, so when we're thinking about Roman numerals, I wanted to jot down a few rules that's going to help you retain the information and what it looks like. And so that way, when it's time to solve for Roman numeral or when it's time to read and understand Roman numeral, you can have these little tips in mind. So when a numeral is repeated, its value is repeated. So, I like to think about Roman numerals like the way I think about clothes. Yeah. So you know that the X stands for 10. So if we have three X's, that's going to be 30. And then you can think about the I's like you do with the names. So if somebody is named after their father, they're usually the second. And then if they're named after then, so if somebody's named after their father, they're usually the second. And then if that person names their child after them, then that kid is the third, so on and so forth. So when I think about the two I's, which is two, I think about names. And then when I think about the X's, I always think about clothes. Um, One thing that you can keep in mind is when you think about um, clothes, you can only have like, it says that a numeral may not be repeated more than three times. So 40 is XL, not XXXXX, right? I think in clothes we can say 4X or 5X, 3X, 2X, but in this particular manner, you're not going to think about it in that way for the 40. It's going to be XL, okay? And then the V, L, and D is never repeated. Never repeated. So remember that. This is what's going to really help you. So write this one down. The smaller numeral before the larger numeral, you're going to subtract. So if you have 100, well, you see XC. So the C here is 100. So I always think about Martin when Martin was like, I got them C notes. So when you think about that, C is 100 and then X is 10. Never forget that. So if you see XC, which means that the smaller numeral is in front of the larger numeral, you know that you're going to subtract 100 minus 10, which is going to give you 90. If the smaller numeral is after the larger numeral, you are going to add. So if you look here, you have C, so that's 100. You have X, which is 10. You have 5, or the V for 5, and then you have the 1 for the I for 1. So this would be 116. And you can write this example down just to help you with retaining the information and to help you understand it better. Roman numerals may not necessarily be something that you use every day in the pharmacy, but it is something that you will be tested on your exam. So remember, a lot of the things that you're going to see on this channel is going to be about how to pass this board exam. So it's not always going to be about what you're seeing in the pharmacy. And that's one of the things that I see with a lot of my friends who are working in pharmacy right now. They have become so conditioned with just doing the everyday routine of their job that sometimes it's hard to retain that information because when you go to work, you just know what to do. It's like go to work, you clock in, you do this, you do that, you do this, and you don't realize that you don't really realize what you're doing because you're in automation. So being intentional about showing up to this page and showing up for yourself is going to be helpful for you. We're going to do some Roman numeral practice. I've already kind of put it out there for you, the answers, but we're still going to run through it because I want you to be sufficient in this. So remember, if you see the X, you know that the X is 10. And then the IV is 4. So your answer is going to be 14. Okay. X, again, is 10, but you see it in front of the C. So what that means? You're doing it. You're doing it. You're catching it. It's 90, okay? And then when you see the XL, which is 40, because the X is 10 and then the L is 50. Try not to forget that the L is 50. I know that the L is not something that you see all the time, so that can be a little like, I'm not used to seeing L, so let me try to remember that, but this is something you do want to write down. And then here you see that it's pretty much the same. So we have XL, which is 40, and then we have LX, which is 60. So that just goes to show you how you want to be careful and you want to make sure that you're seeing the larger number in front, because whenever that larger number is in front, you're going to add. When the smaller number is in front, you're going to subtract. Okay. And then we see XX, which is 20. And now you have XXIV or XX4. So we have 10, 24. So your answer is 24. And then down here at the bottom, you are going to have LXXV equals 75. Okay. We know that the L is 50, the X is 10, and the V is 5. Okay. If you need to, you can definitely do a screenshot of this or write this down. If you are studying and tracking with me, this is something that you know that we've covered in the past. I think maybe in 2021, but now we're covering it again in 2023. I've been listening to y'all. Y'all told me y'all wanted some new content. And some of you all have sent me some emails saying Roman numerals. I've gotten emails about fractions, emails about time. So I just want to make sure we cover the basics of pharmacy calculations and pharmacy math. And then we're going to get into some of those intricate questions so that way you can feel comfortable in taking that board exam. Because, baby, look, this is the season of go get it and come back with it. Okay. So we ain't playing this year. We're not playing in 2023. We're not walking out of this year without the things we came to get. Okay. Um, Military time. So let's talk about this for a second because some of my friends really struggle with this. One of the things I want you to think about is that military time is just basically um, where you're thinking about 24 hours, the entire 24 hours in a day. So when we're going throughout our everyday life, we know that our clocks are typically set up to just repeat themselves. So, and all you do is change the AM from the to the PM. So, you don't really think about the 24 hours because you're really seeing 12. Well, I mean, I'm saying you're seeing 12 if you up 24 hours, obviously, you was up 24 hours. But for the most part, you'd see 12 because, I mean, it repeats itself. Okay. So that's cool. But when you in pharmacy, and especially if you're working at a hospital, you want to know that these orders are being given off of a 24-hour period. And even when the doctors are writing the prescriptions and they say, take one tablet by mouth every 8 hours for 10 days. So when we break the 8 hours into 24, that means they're taking it 3 times a day, right? So it's our job to make sure that we take the 3 times a day into consideration. So when we're dispensing the pills, we know for a fact this patient has enough medication to last them for the 10 days. Okay. So the clock starts at 000. Let me see, 0000, 4 zeros. Okay. And it starts at 000, which is midnight, and it runs through 2300, which is 11 p.m. Okay. So that means that when you're thinking about military time or thinking about the 24 hours in a day, when we give patients the medication, we want to make sure that they have enough to last them for the 24 hours a day. Okay. Disclaimer, my screen is over to the right. So I'm looking to the right because I'm actually looking at the screen. Um, I'm not cross-sided. I'm just looking over this way. Okay, anyway, I digress. So when you see this, keep in mind you have the 0, 100, 0, 200, 0, 300, 0, 400, so on and so forth. And then after the 12, once you get here, it just goes 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600. The minutes stay the same. So if we were looking at 1300, let's say it was 1300 and the minute hand was on 2, right? So it would still be the same, 1310, right? Because it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So we know there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So the minute representation is the same. The only thing that's changing is the hour, okay? We're getting ready to practice this in just a second. But I want to make sure that you're good with this. And I know some people are like, "Oh my God, this is so simple." It's simple once you get it, and it is simple. But some of my friends just need to just see it, and that's okay. It's nothing wrong with it. Look, let me tell you something. Don't let nobody judge you about where you are and what you're doing. What you're doing right now is for you. So if they don't like it or if they want to talk about you or whatever it is, close your ear to that because you see what my son say? Good vibes. That's all we coming for is good vibes. Okay, all 2023. So don't feel bad about this if you're like, oh my God, this is simple, but why am I tripping with this? Don't worry about that. Just do what you know you need to do. Get this information and keep it moving because I'm telling you, when we're doing these orders in the pharmacy, we are doing them on a 24-hour period. Okay. All right. Shout out to all my friends who still holding it down and trying to get this test passed in 2023. Okay. This is your year. I'm telling you, this is the season to go get it and come back with it. It is. So don't feel bad. We about to rock this thing out. That's why I'm here for you. Baby, I done showed up. So you know I done showed up. So you know it's serious. Okay. I done showed up. So anyway, number one says um 2000 or 2000, right? I think 2000 sounds better. But normally when we're looking at this, we would say 2100, 2200, 2300. So we're going to say 2000. That's fine. And when we think about our clock, and I have a clock here. So on this clock, it doesn't really give you the military conversion. So you just got to think about it in your mind. So you know that 1 o'clock is 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that means that it's 8 o'clock p.m. Okay. 1417. 1417 would be 2:17 p.m. So as we 1417, that's going to be 2:17. So we know that the hand is going to go this way. Okay. Again, you can write this down, you can screenshot it because you may get access information. Military time is very important because we do work on a 24-hour period when we think about these patients and we think about the customers and what they need, especially in a hospital. So if you are one of my friends that want to go into institutional pharmacy, this is going to be big for you, okay? Because you want to, keep that information in mind. Some of my friends actually have put this time on their phones because they're being intentional about what they see and it's helping them to comprehend. It's up to you, child. I ain't changed nothing on my phone, but I can understand the concept of this information when I look at the clock. I know we're just starting over. Okay. 2:30 is 14:30. So again, that means that the hour hand is behind the 2 and the minute hand is where? On the 6. Okay. 11:11. A lot of y'all like this time because y'all say that this time is like a miracle time or it's like something where something great is going to happen. Look, positive vibes, good vibes. That's all we want. So if you believe in that, hey, if it's working, it's working. But 11:11, this can be tricky because somebody else will look at this and be like, okay, how is 11:11 still 11:11? Because remember that first round of time in AM is still regular the way that we see it. The only time it changes is once we get past the 12 and we're going into the afternoon. Because remember, the clock starts at midnight. So if it's starting at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, so on and so forth, 11:11 a.m. is going to translate into 11:11 just like that with the military time. Okay. So a lot of us think that the morning starts when we wake up, but really the morning it started at 12. It started at midnight. Because if you out at 1 o'clock in the morning because you coming from the club or you coming from having a good time or whatever it is you're doing, look, I ain't judging, that's your business. Um, you really have started the next day. And I think it was Iyanla Van Zandt who helped me to see. She was like, she tries to get in bed no later than 12 o'clock. She said, I want to go to bed when the day is still here. And that stuck with me because a lot of times when it's nighttime, I didn't realize that after 12 o'clock, I'm going into the next day. I'm just thinking, hey, I'm up. It's nighttime. I'm just up, doing whatever because I'm a little bit of a night owl. I'm just thinking I'm up. But it didn't dawn on me like, yo, I am going into the next day. And she was like, you want to go into the next day and get sleep for the day that you're in and then go into that next day. And she said some other profound things that I can't remember right now, but it makes sense. So this day today is going to end at 11:59 p.m. And then tomorrow is going to start at 12:01 or 12 o'clock. Okay. 7 o'clock a.m., same thing, 700. Same thing. Ain't nothing changed. 10:25, 10:25 a.m. Same thing. Same thing. Ain't nothing changed. But then when we get to the 21:01, that's 9:01. Okay. 21:01 is 9:01, friend. So write that down. Try to remember that as much as you can. And just always try to have in your mind that it's 24 hours in a day, and this is what we are doing to help these patients to make sure that they're getting all of their medication for that day of therapy. Temperature conversion. Ooh, baby. Look, let me tell you something. This temperature conversion been running up on y'all. It's been running up on y'all because I've been getting these messages about people who are struggling with temperature conversion. It can be a thing. It can be a thing, especially if you don't know which formula to use and you're trying to use both formulas. What I put down here was the decimal formula because in my mind, that's what's easier. Okay, so I ain't trying to make this hard for nobody. Look, life has already given us lemons and we making lemonade out of it. So if we can keep it where it's simple and keep it where it's easy as much as possible, I'm down for that. Okay. So let's look here where it says Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, so Fahrenheit to Celsius is when we're thinking about Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let me back up a little bit. So Fahrenheit is the way that we normally see our degrees, right? We normally see our degrees in Fahrenheit. So that lets us know that that number is going to be like a bigger number because I know, especially in Texas, baby, if you in Houston, shout out to you for being in H-Town, okay? Where it go down. But that great state of Texas, it gets hot, and I'm pretty sure it gets hot in other places. But baby, if you've been to Texas, it's particularly Houston. If you've been here, you know that the humidity be doing this thing, and that heat don't be playing. Where you could be driving and see heat waves on the ground. Okay, so when I think about Fahrenheit, you can see 104 degrees, 102, 101. I mean, it gets hot. Fahrenheit is always going to be a bigger number than Celsius. Write that down. Fahrenheit is always going to be a bigger number than Celsius. Celsius is a smaller number than Fahrenheit. So even if you don't always know the formula, but if you're going through multiple choice, which is what your test is made up of, then you can also do it where you're doing process of elimination, especially if you realize Fahrenheit is a bigger number than Celsius. Celsius is a smaller number than Fahrenheit. Let me try to maneuver and see which one, would be the more realistic answer. So that's a tip. Baby, I'm dropping these gems. I just got back. Okay, I just got back. I ain't even been back 2 minutes, and I done gave you some game. So when you do this Fahrenheit to Celsius, you have F minus 32 divided by 1.8. Okay, some people try to add this 1.8. You do not add the 1.8. It's always, when you're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, it's always going to be divided by 1.8. Okay, and we're going to practice this on the next screen. And then when you're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you are going to multiply the 1.8 times the C plus the 32. Why do you think we are multiplying the Celsius to the Fahrenheit when we're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit? Why do you think we're multiplying and adding? Thank you, because Fahrenheit is bigger than Celsius, which means that in order to get a bigger number, we're going to need to multiply and add. When we're doing Fahrenheit to Celsius, we're subtracting and dividing. Why? Come on, because you're smart and you know it, because we're trying to get Fahrenheit to Celsius to be a smaller number. So when you're doing Celsius to Fahrenheit and you think about this, if it's multiple choice, friend, and you forget the formula, you can also use common sense, which will allow you to do process of elimination where you're like, okay, if I see these big numbers and I know I'm going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, those are going to be out. If I see these small numbers and I'm going from um, Celsius to Fahrenheit, those are going to be out because I need a big number to get to Fahrenheit. Okay. And another little tip I put on here is that the FDA recommends that the temperature be below 40 degrees for the refrigerator. So I think sometimes you may get these questions where it's giving you a range. And when it gives you a range, it might say, what's the refrigerator temperature? You know that if that range is 55 to 70, that's not refrigerator temperature. That's probably the temperature of your home, right? Because look, it'd be hot in Texas, and these people in my house, they wanted at 69-degree Fahrenheit, especially during the time that we're asleep. So look, hey, people need to be comfortable. But when you think about this, I want you to think about the refrigerator needing to be below 40. So again, if you get a range and you see something below 40-degree Fahrenheit and you don't necessarily know how to do this, you can use your common sense to do what? Process of elimination. Baby, y'all better talk back to me. Okay. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. So now we're going to look at some conversions. Okay. Take your time and pace yourself on this. Take your time and pace yourself. It's not a race, it's a marathon. Okay. 80 degrees Celsius. First of all, 80 degrees Celsius is a very high number because remember, Celsius is always a very small number. So when I see 80 degrees Celsius, I know that my Fahrenheit is going to be a big number and it's going to be an unusual number than what I would see for the weather. Because, baby, if it was 176-degree Fahrenheit outside, whew, I don't know what we would do. I don't even think we could make it. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know, friend. I don't even know. But anyway, my mind just went all kinds of places. So when we're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, it's gonna be 80 times the 1.8 plus the 32. What numbers are your key numbers in this? And what's your P player? The 1.8 and the 32. 1.8 and 32 are your key numbers and key players when we're thinking about temperature conversion. Knowing what to do with them numbers is something different. Do you know what to do with the numbers? Are we adding, multiplying, or are we subtracting and dividing? Okay. But when we're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, we are multiplying and we are adding, multiplying and adding. So we get to that 176. Friend, you can write this down. Okay. And if you don't have a paper and pen or a calculator, then maybe you can do a screenshot. Okay. But let me tell you something. Whenever you come to this channel, baby, you're going to get these gems. You're going to get free games. So you better make sure you come prepared with your paper and your pen and your calculator because I'm helping you and I'm turning you on so that way when you go take that test, you can pass. Okay. So don't show up empty handed because you want to show up with the expectation that I'm going to get what I need when I leave this channel. Exactly. 70 to 72 Fahrenheit. Now we're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we're going from that big number to that smaller number, which means we're going to do what? Subtract and divide. One thing I want you to know, and let me say this part too, because I think people be feeling some type of way about math. But look, let me get real close to the camera. If you can count money, you can do math. And I had a student the other day that told me and math don't get along. Well, basically, you saying you and money don't get along. Not that money is everything, but it is what we need in order to get the things that we need to have and to take care of our family, to take care of ourselves, to do the things that we were called to do. So if you keep saying me and math don't get along, you're basically putting in the universe that you don't get along with money and you don't get along with things that surrounds that. And that may be why you keep seeing some of the stuff happening in your life over and over because of the words you're speaking. You got to speak positivity, good vibes. See, I got that sign. That sign is to remind you and me because I'm guilty of it. Because life has a way of making us feel that we're unworthy and not valuable, but we are. Okay. So speak positivity over yourself and continue to believe in you because you are the only one that can make your dreams come true. I just told a friend of mine today, baby, don't none come to a sleeper but a dream. Okay, so you got to get this work. Show up with that paper and pen, sis. Show up with that paper and pen, bro, so that way we can make sure that when you walk away, you got what you need. Okay, friend? Now, 65 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Here we go again with the big number. 65 degrees Celsius, that's a big number. Okay. So now you see the 149 Fahrenheit. Again, that's not some temperatures that I want to be in. I do not want to be in 149-degree Fahrenheit temperature. Whew. And then 32-degree Fahrenheit to Celsius. So that lets me know if it's 32-degree Fahrenheit, then in Celsius, it's going to be real, real cold. It's going to be cold. Yeah. It's going to be pretty cold. And that's like 0. And I don't think I've ever been in temperature that low because in Texas, look, if it snow in Texas, it is, the roads are shut down. Let me not say Texas. If it snows in Houston, the roads are shut down. We stuck in the house. We can't do nothing. We watching the news. We looking at TikTok. We looking at social media. We watching movies, reruns of old stuff because we can't go nowhere. Watching TV and eating because we are not prepared for 0-degree weather. Okay. Baby, we barely prepared for 20-degree. We ain't we look, we just not prepared. And you know if it rained, we flooded. So that's that. But anyway, I digress. Let's go to the next one. Now we're going to talk about converting fractions to decimal. And I just want to tell you, if you have not subscribed to the LW channel, go ahead and subscribe to that channel because we're gonna help you win. Who gonna help you? Lindsay will. Who's gonna help you? Lindsay will. We're gonna help you win. Okay. I know some of you might say, I'm just so tired of this test. This is my 3rd time taking it. And if I don't pass it this time, I'm not trying no more. And I get it, friend. Look, I get it. Some of you, this may be your 2nd time. Some of you, this may be your 1st time and you just scared. And I get it because it can be pretty intimidating. That's why I'm here. I came for you. I came for the ones that want it. Okay. So dust yourself off, put your big panties on, your big boy underwear on, and let's get this work. Okay. Converting fractions to decimal. To convert a proper or improper fraction to a decimal. Baby, I couldn't get the word out. To convert a proper or improper fraction to a decimal, divide the numerator by the denominator. So basically, we're dividing 1 into 2, which is going to give us the 0.5. When I think about 1/2, I think about half of a dollar because there are 4 coins in a dollar, 4 quarters, right? So if I take half of that away, $1, a dollar is 1. So if I take half away, it's going to give me 50. Baby, I just be thinking about the money part. Okay. And then to convert a mixed fraction to decimal, you're going to convert into an improper fraction and then divide the numerator by the denominator. That sounds a little tricky, but it's not hard at all. Okay. And so I did, let me see. Let me see something right quick. Let me pull, look, I got my calculator, but my calculator is on my phone. 3 plus 1 divided by 2, 3.5. Okay, so let's go and do some practicing. Converting fractions to a decimal. So we know that the first one is 1/2, and 1/2 is always 50. Okay, now let's look at number 2. Number 2, we're going to do 4 plus 5 divided by 8. You should have done 4 plus 5 divided by 8. And that's going to give you 4.625. Now, if we were needing to use this, for some type of dosage or something like that, we wouldn't do 4.625. We would do 4.6, right? Because we can't, and it's hard to really pull up 4.6, especially if you're doing it in a syringe. And then number 3 is the numerator divided by the denominator again. So we're going to do 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. 3 divided by 4, 0.75. Okay. 4 is going to be 2 plus 1 divided by 2, 2.5. 2 plus 1 divided by 2, 2.5. Okay. And then the very last one is 55 divided by 22, and that's going to give us 2.5. Converting fractions is not hard. It doesn't have to be difficult. As long as you have a strategic way about how you want to solve this, you should be fine. You should be really good as long as you have a strategic way. So now let's do a quick little recap of what we learned and what we covered today. Okay, friend, I'm proud of you. So give yourself a pat on the back or high five yourself. Okay. Number 1, we're going from regular time, I guess, to military time. So 540 is going to be what? 1740. So if it's 540, it's 1740. Remember the clock. And remember, I shared with you that the minutes do not change. The minutes will stay the same. The only thing that changes is the hour. Okay, can I highlight that? I can't highlight it, but I could point to it. The only thing that's going to change is the hour. The minutes stay the same. The next one is XLV. So remember the X is 10, the L is 50, and the V is 5. Now, why are we subtracting? Because we had the smaller number in front of the larger number, which means that we're going to need to subtract. So we're going to subtract 10 minus 50 minus 5. And you have to do it in this order, because if you do the 50 first and then the 10, if you do 50 minus 10 minus 5, that's going to give you 35, which is not the same. So you have to do it in the order that you see it, which is 10 minus 50 minus 5, and that gives you 45. Okay. Now it's going to give you a negative 45, and you don't have to carry the negative sign, but you do need to do it in this manner, in this order, so you can get the right number. Because if you don't and you switch it around because of what you've been taught in the past about math, you will get that answer wrong or that question wrong. Number 3, XX 11, or excuse me, not 11, XX 11, which equals 22. And that's pretty easy. 10, 20, 1, 2. Okay. Here we are, 40 degrees Celsius, blank F. So that lets us know that we are already going from a smaller number to a larger number. So we know we're going to multiply and add. Okay. And again, if you forget this formula, what are you going to do? You are going to look at it, look at the multiple choice, use some common sense, and process of elimination. Okay. Number 5 is 50% equals 0.5. And what we did here, the percentage is going to be the percentage represents 100, because the percent is always a whole number. So we are going to do 50 divided by 100, and that's going to give us a 0.5. 50 divided by 100, 0.5. Okay. 6, same thing, nothing changed. 12% is going to be 12 divided by 100, 0.12. Because remember that the percentage stands for what? 100. Why? Because 100 is your whole number. Write that down. Because there will be times once we get into more intricate math, more of that math that's going to require you to apply yourself, you may not always see a number there. And if you don't, you want to remember that your whole number is 100, especially when we're thinking about insulin. A lot of times it's going to be 100, okay? And then number 7 says 4 divided by 10. So the 4 divided by 10 is showing us 40%. So we didn't necessarily cover this, but this is okay. This is when we're going from fraction to percentage. So what we will do here is divide the 4 by the 10 and multiply that by 100, and that gives us the 40%. Okay. And I heard a question say, well, how do you know that you need to multiply by 100 if you have something that says from fraction to percentage? Because anytime you want to add a percentage to a number, you always multiply by 100 to add the percentage. Okay. If we're taking the percentage away, we're going to divide it by 100. And then that's going to put it back into decimal form. Baby, look, okay, you better thank God for me because I thank God for you and that we working together. I just got real excited because I know you're going to win this time. Okay. Number 24 or number 824 says XXIV. So we know that the X is 10, 10, and then the IV is 4. Okay. So like when you think about George Foreman the fourth, you know, he's gonna have the IV behind his name, George Foreman the third, George Foreman the second. Because baby, all his kids named George Foreman. And if I was a George Foreman child, name me George Foreman too. Okay. The legacy lives on. Okay. I ain't mad at it. But that's our recap. The last thing I'm going to leave with you is that we are offering group tutorial sessions. I have heard and read the messages on Facebook. I've read the emails, and I've seen some of the messages you were posting underneath those YouTube videos. Can we get group tutorials? Yes, we can. Every Thursday, Central Standard Time, I do have 2 slots available where you will be in a tutorial session with not just you, but other people around the country who are doing the same thing you're doing. Because why? It's important to be around like-minded people. Because you keep telling your friend that this is what you're doing, and your friend is not really supporting you because every time you try to study, they want to go out, or they want to go get something to eat, or they want to do something that does not bring you closer to your goal. So that's why we want to get around supportive people, and we want to be intentional about the space we're in so we can have those people around us who want us to win. Okay, it ain't nothing wrong with your friend. It ain't nothing wrong with going out to eat. It ain't nothing wrong with having a good time. But when it's time to study and put forth your best foot, we need all good people on deck. We need good vibes. And we need to work with people who want the same thing we want. So we got 2 time slots available. We have 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and we have 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are doing it at $30 per hour. That is not bad at all. And it's every Thursday, okay? So we can actually start this Thursday with you if you want to. We already have some friends who've been joining us every Thursday. They're getting what they need. They're passing their board exam and getting these new jobs, honey, and increasing their hourly rates and their yearly salaries so they can obtain the goals and the things that they plan for themselves and their family, okay? Bring a friend to the party. Don't be stingy and don't be selfish with it, okay? Tell somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that you found something that can help them, okay? So bring your friend. Be intentional about what you're doing. Continue to love on you. Do your very best. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And this is the season of go get it and come back with it. And so if you stumbled across this page, it was not by coincidence, but it was something that led you here through intentionality. Continue to be intentional with you. Take care of you. And until next time, continue studying, love on you, and trust the process. Take care. See you guys next time.